In this video, we're going to talk about intensity of osmosis for tattoo fading or tattoo removal after thermoabrasion with AC electrical arcing. If you remember, in a previous video we talked about treatment intensity, overall treatment intensity, and that is determined by the way you use the RF electrical arcing device, and if you use osmosis, how long and how you apply the sodium chloride for. Now, in the way you use the RF electrical arcing device, if you remember, we've devised two levels. Level 1, where we only remove the epidermis, and level 2, in which after we remove the epidermis, with the spray operation we excite the upper part of the dermis in order to break down some of the color pigments. At the end of this video, we're going to show you an interesting clip where a very experienced user is actually breaking down the colored pigments and also removing the epidermis in one spray movement. But this is something that is only advisable to very experienced users and should not be attempted to start with. Now, we would like to re-emphasize the importance of the aftercare. The aftercare, once again, is far more important than the way you use the RF electrical arcing device or the way you apply osmosis, because should an infection arise, a scar could develop. Conversely, even a high treatments by using the RF electrical arcing device or high intensity treatment of osmosis, if the aftercare is done properly, no problem, the tattoo will fade dramatically without any problem. Intensity of osmosis is determined by how you apply sodium chloride and how long for. So you can apply a mixture of sterile saline solution and sterile salt to make a paste on the area that you're treated, or sterile salt itself and then bandage it and keep it for a length of time. Now remember not to rub either salt or that paste that you've made on the area that you're treated, because that could cause some problems. Now, timing is quite important, because the longer you keep sodium chloride for, the higher the intensity of osmosis, and therefore the more those pigments that you have broken by using AC electrical arcing are going to be drawn on the upper part of the skin, and the better the results. However, the longer you keep the sodium chloride for, the more the area will be prone to infections later on during the aftercare. Therefore, the first time you use osmosis, use it for a short period of time, 5 to 10 minutes at most, so you see the difference that it makes to apply osmosis. So the way you regulate the intensity of osmosis is by regulating the timing. And some people recommend to use salt for up to 5 hours. We do not recommend that, especially the first time you use this technique, because you'd better get familiarized with a low intensity osmosis than a high intensity osmosis. Now, also there are sometimes clients asking you to remove a large tattoo. Remember that it's far easier to have a tattoo done than removing it, and remind it to your clients as well. Always manage expectations and do not treat a large tattoo all at once, because the larger the area that you treat, the more difficult it's going to be the aftercare in terms of keeping that area clean, and therefore the more the likelihood of developing an infections during the recovery period. So always split large tattoos in areas that are manageable in terms of keeping it clean and infections free during that recovery period. Now, there are certain areas which should be avoided altogether, because they present a challenge in terms of aftercare and recovery. These areas are wherever the skin either stretches or wrinkles, bends, like the wrist for instance, or elbows, shoulders, knees, anywhere that could be some bending or stretching of the skin, because the recovery periods can be challenging. Also, avoid the waistline, avoid using osmosis on the waistline, because there is a lot of rubbing with clothing, tight clothing, belts, and that could cause infections and some problems later on. So avoid osmosis in these areas, and also wherever you think that the client will find it challenging or difficult to keep clean, avoid osmosis, or even avoid treating the area altogether. These are the main advice that we give. Whenever you start using AC electrical arcing for tattoo removal, once again remember not to use osmosis. Use level 1 first on a small part of the tattoo, let it recover, see the results, use level 2 in another part, let it recover, use the results, and then start using osmosis on another area. For instance, if that is a tattoo in that area, apply the osmosis for 10-15 minutes at most, let the area recover, see the results, and then move to another area and increase that intensity by increase the length of time of that salt being put in place, or the paste, whatever you prefer. Remember, if you're using a paste, the osmosis effect is going to be far better than using salt itself. So thank you very much for watching, and now enjoy the next clip. In the previous clip, you've seen how a very experienced user could combine level 1 and 2 at the same time by one spray movement on the tattoo. Therefore, it could remove the epidermis and break down the color pigments on the upper part of the dermis in one spray movement. But this is only advisable to very experienced users. This brings us back to a very important point of the aftercare. As I say, you can use very high intensity RF electrical arcing methods to fade the tattoos. Also, you can use high intensity osmosis as well, up to 5 hours. And if aftercare is followed properly and there's no infections, then the results are going to be extremely good. So you have a very powerful tool to remove tattoos and to have your client satisfied, but the aftercare is far more important of the way you treat the tattoo, because if the aftercare is followed properly, the area recovers the way it should. As I say, a scab starts forming 3 to 4 days after your treatment, then tattoos are going to be removed effectively, and you'll have very good results and happy clients. So thank you very much again for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video.